And good evening, commanders, and welcome to the final, yes, the ultimate, the end, the last ever Elite Dangerous Astro Tour, at least for 2020, right? Never say never again. So yes, we are here. So thank you all for popping into the chat. I really appreciate you joining me on this final little bit of the leg of the journey. It's a long one tonight, as though some of you know. Yes, it's Christmas Drew again. Well, it's got to be done, right? It's it's time. It's still a hat, okay? It's still a hat. All right. That's my my festive hat. Yes, it's still a hat. Okay, it's still me. Okay, I'm still here. It is still the Drew you've come to love and, well, you know, maybe put up with a bit. After all this time, it's been, how long have we been doing this? This is almost a year since we've been doing these sort of tours. I can manage 2 a year at the moment. That's what I seem to have been able to do. Tolerate, yeah, that's it. Tolerate the street. Yeah, that'll do for me. Tolerate is fine. So yes, it's my humbug hat. So actually, it works quite well. There's a slight sort of force field around it, as you can see, because of the green screen behind me. So it kind of gives me this slightly, like I've got one of those new personal shields, which have now become law in Elite Dangerous. So a little bit more about that later on. But anyway, there we go. We are here. Now, we've got a long way to go and a short time to get there, which of course is an 80s tune, which I'm not going to play at the moment. But are we going off on the tangent? No, I can't afford. I really cannot afford to go off on a tangent. We are on quite a short, sharp timeline. So we have got to get moving. So apologies for cutting short the preamble, because that's tradition, isn't it, on the stream, that we have to get distracted. So I haven't actually got time to get distracted. So you can distract me when I'm on the way, okay, and flying, but not so I die or anything horrible like that. But I need to get off the pad. So. So just brought reclamation for Monkey. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy the Elite Dangerous story. Enjoy. It's quite old now. It's 6 years old. Yeah. So there we go. Premonition, Shade Saga, then reclamation. Yeah, I'll go with that. We're going off on the tangent. Right, let's get this show on the go. So this is the final episode of the Astro Tour. So thank you for all of you who have accompanied me on the Astro Tour. So I hope you've learned the odd bit of fact along the way. You know, we have talked a little bit about facts along the way, but it's appropriate just to get going. Drew says my. It's great, right? So stop waffling, Drew. Get on with the show. Let's get this ship into space, shall we? That's very, very good advice. So off we go. Right. So here we go. Right. I've got 35 jumps. Okay, which is a fair old whack, even for my ship. So those of you who are on your way, get going. Destination Evelyn's Light, obviously. It doesn't matter where you are now. Get to Evelyn's Light as soon as you can, because that is the destination. That is the end of the Elite Dangerous Astro Tour. And have I just pressed the wrong button? Oops. I've just had a glass of wine. Not going anywhere upsetting tonight. We're not going anywhere upsetting. No, we're going somewhere perhaps a little bit poignant. Is that fair? Really good stuff. Right. do face palm. Right. I'm on my way now. Okay. It's going to go well, as you can see. Right, so let me get my ship into space. You wouldn't think I'm an elite explorer, as you discovered last week. You wouldn't know you had one job. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Hey, I'm still having fun. You've got to give me. You've got to be gentle with me, my friends, because I'm not as young as many of you commanders are. I know most of you are the same age as me, actually, so that's not really an excuse I can kind of go with at all. I'm supposed to be elite, and as you discovered last week, I get all the scanners confused as well, so that's not good either, is it? But hey, it's all done. It's all done for the love of the game. There we go. Never mind. Right, let's get the ship on the way. So I know I've got, how many jumps have I got? I've got 35 jumps to go, so let's rock and roll. Okay, so if anybody else is out there, get going. Evelyn's Light is the system, EVELYN''S Light. And that's where we're going to rendezvous for the end of the stream. You're young, I'm 64 today. So I have no excuse, actually, do I? I have no excuse whatsoever. HQ asking, no more carriers left near the bubbles. I don't know. I don't think the carriers would be able to get to Evelyn's Light in that time frame if they were still in the bubble, I'm afraid, not with a jump range of 500 light years. I'm going to be travelling 2,000 light years just now on the stream in order to get to where we're going. It's quite a long haul, and I wanted to travel through space, partly because there's things to talk about. There's a lot of things to talk about actually today. We've had the Elite Dangerous official Twitch stream. And Evelyn's Light is a long way out. I was surprised, actually, to be honest, that Frontier put it where it is. But we'll talk a little bit about that, because it kind of doesn't matter where it is. Oddly enough, it can't be so close to the bubble beyond a certain range because it wouldn't work. But actually, beyond that, it can be at any distance at all. So we'll talk a little bit about where we're going in a moment. But anyway, so if you're in a ship and you're not at Evelyn's Light, get your ash. As we know, British people can't say ass, but get your ash in gear. Get yourself over to Evelyn's Light, or get your asp or your arse. Well, get your arse in gear, okay? And move across. So now I'm going to have to put that little thing on my Twitch stream, mild profanity, okay? Get your asps in gear. That's exactly what we need to do. So onwards we go. Onwards we go. Get your donkey in gear. Oh, now my phone's ringing. It's my phone ringing. Let's switch. Well, that's ringing. He says crashing into the sun. Never mind. Right. Anyway, we're off. Yeah. So as you know, I'm in a crate because I like the crate. I keep looking at Coriolis.io. I think is the one I use, the website which allows you to sort of spec up your different ships, and I can't really find anything better for what I like doing in the game than the crate. I don't like the big ships, particularly for exploration, because I like to be able to see down when I'm landing. So the Anaconda sounds slowly in Super Cruise that it's just painful to fly, whereas the crate rather is nice and manoeuvrable. It's good. So yeah, and as you can see, this is an exploration build which is spec'd up for 60 plus light years in a single hit without doing any fancy smanchy synthesis injection stuff or using neutron stars, which I must admit I've tried once. And I didn't enjoy the experience, so I even need to practice that. But I'm not going to do that today because I don't want any risk of mashing my ship. One thing I will recommend, though, for those of you who haven't been out to Colonia before or in this direction, or kind of looking like that's a long way to go, obviously get yourself a ship with a decent jump range, because that will cut the travelling time down a bit. As you can see, this crate Phantom is set up with 60 light years. In order to do that, I've had to. It doesn't carry any weapons. It's stripped down to the very lightest components. It has very, very basic shields on it just to stop it crashing on planets and things like that. It does have a couple of SRVs on board, but just in case I bust one when I'm out of the black. But it really is stripped down to the minimum, and it's engineered, and it's got the Guardian Ujimaflip thingy-bob on it, which is a technical term. What's it called? Frame shift booster? Some frame shift something? Anyway, whatever it is you can get from the aliens that makes your ship go even further. I've got one of those. FSD, there we are. And that kind of pushes the ship to, I think I could probably squeeze a little bit more out of it, but I've got a few health and safety devices on board, which allow me to repair the ship. So I've got a few limpets and I've got a decent fuel scoop and all that kind of good stuff. So I've got the top one. Yeah, it's worth 10 light years. So it's definitely, that's the only Guardian module I've actually gone and bothered and unlocked. And it's really worth it if you like exploration. Now you can go exploration in any ship, but the more jump range just allows you to cover the gaps quicker and just get further. Okay, so it gives you a lot of flexibility, which I rather like. So I'm rather fond. I haven't flown anything else but my crate, I don't think, pretty much for a year now. Other than I was using a Cobra in the Lore Tour because it's the classic ship, but the Crate Phantom obliterates it on everything in terms of jump range and everything else that you can carry. So it's a really nice ship. I can fit a massive fuel scoop. I think it maxes out, there you go, 800 somethings per second. I don't know what it is. And what is it? Is it something? Well, it's somethings per second. Is it meters per second or slurps per second? I don't know. What's the fuel scoop measured in? Oh, now I've just cooked my ship, being too close to the star. Never mind. It runs fairly cool, the crate, actually. So, is it kilograms per second? I don't know. That slightly waxed paper they used to have in public loose. Scoops per second, like raisin bran. It's kilograms per second. It is kilograms per second. So basically, that's almost a ton a second that this machine can slurp up out of the star, which is pretty good. I've never looked at that. I'm going to look at it now. What does it say? It does. Oh, it doesn't say. It just says numbers per second, which is actually a bit dodge. Actually, that's not a correct way of writing units. I can't speak. It should say kg per second. It shouldn't say just per second. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, numbers per second. So that's another one that's going on my list of things that are wrong with the user interface of Elite Dangerous, which I will, one of these days I'm going to catalogue and send to Frontier. Don't get me started again on the D throttle, because that was it was at least a 20-minute diversion last week. And there are a few oddities that people like me who have nothing better to do with their lives but pick holes in other people's work, i.e. critics, enjoy doing. So gallons, yes, it should be gallons. Why isn't it gallons? It still annoys me a little bit, actually, that the measurement system in the game is light seconds and megameters, because who uses megameters, right? Why can't it just be kilometers? I know roughly what a kilometer is. Kilometers is a perfectly valid thing to use at relatively close range in star systems. And I prefer the old FE2, which we have been playing on Saturdays, where it it measured large distances in astronomical units. That is the correct measurement, okay? Light years, astronomical units, kilometers, right? That's how it should be, I think, personally. That's what I would have done. Light seconds, astronomers don't use light seconds, right? Astronomers don't use light seconds, so I have no idea who decided that light seconds would be a good measurement, because it's a very non-intuitive measurement to my way of thinking. And parsecs, parsecs have been used once in fiction, and that was in Star Wars, and they used them wrong. Maybe occasionally in the early versions of Star Trek. Nobody uses parsecs either. So that's a useless unit. It should be light years. Light years is what we use. And then it should be astronomical units. That's what astronomers use. If you ask any astronomer, even professional astronomers, how far away is Jupiter in light seconds, they will not know. Okay, they just won't. But if you tell them, if you say how far away is Jupiter from the Sun in astronomical units, they'll tell you straight away it's 5. It's just one of those things that astronomers know. So it's a curious choice of unit. So that's wrong. Okay, that needs fixing. So when I do my petition, I hope you will all join me. I shall take a special trip to Cambridge. I think I'll gift wrap it or something. I'll put it in a black envelope, or with a natty little Cobra design, or maybe an Imperial Courier on the outside. The original Imperial Courier, so they know how it's come from. And then just demand the changes, because obviously I'm right and my opinion counts for everything. So there we go. Don't take my mirth for actually thinking that I am entirely that self-important. I like to pretend that I am, but obviously I'm not. So there we go. It's all meant in the best possible taste. Oh, hang on, something's happened. Unusual Cupcake just raided the channel with 40 cents. Oh, thank you very much, Unusual Cupcake. That's very much appreciated. Welcome to Unusual Cupcake's 47 viewers. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Elite Dangerous Astro Tour, which is proceeding as fast as possible in the direction of Evelyn's light system, way out in the depths of the Elite Dangerous galaxy. Actually, not really in the depths, actually in the core centre of the galaxy is where we're heading, and it's a long way. So we've got to keep moving. So there we go. So yeah. So anyway, there's a few things. So I'm going to. I think I will actually. Just because it's mischievous, I am going to write a letter, and I'm going to send it recorded delivery to David Braben, telling him everything that's wrong. I bet they'll ignore it. But anyway, that would be funny. Daddy Hoggy, hello sir, good to see you. Thank you much for popping along. This is the last episode of the Elite Dangerous Astro Tour, so I'm going to be. This is my last Elite Dangerous stream of the year, I'm afraid, my friends. Having reached the giddy heights of elite last week, yeah, my amazing explorer prowess is plain for all to see. But this is the ultimate episode of the Astro Tour. So this is the second tour we've done this year, completing the Astro Tour. It's a place called Evelyn's Light in the depths of the galaxy, actually not far away from Colonia. So that's somewhere that that you can also go visit. It's worth a trip out there, actually. Much easier to get to than it ever was before. Anyway, totally distracted myself with that ramble. What I was talking about is, if you haven't been to Colonia before, and you're kind of looking at it thinking, well, that's 20, how far is it, 20,000 light years? Quite a long way, okay? Even for a ship as, with a jump range like this. And if you haven't got a handy carrier to take you there, it can be quite daunting, all right? 22.5 is it? There we go. It's quite a long way, okay? I don't know how many hours jumping, but it's hours. It's a fair commitment, okay, even for a fast ship like this one with a long jump range. But what is worth doing, and this has only existed relatively recently, it certainly didn't exist when I first went out to Colonia years and years and years ago, is something called the Colonia Highway. So you can find it on the Elite Dangerous wiki page. It is really handy because it gives you targets, bases where you can land, refuel, repair, all that kind of good stuff, and obviously kind of a save point in case anything goes wrong. There's sort of 2 hours of jumping apart. So if you want to go out in stages, you can now, without just leaving your ship in the blackness. So you can kind of dock at a place, see a little bit of civilization, and then travel onward. So I've stopped at a few places on the way on the Colonia Highway. It's really a good idea to do it. So there we go. But definitely recommending doing that. So that's definitely a thing to look up, and it's really a nice time saver. So because about 2 hours is a good play session for me. An hour and a half, 2 hours is I could go with at my age. I start going a bit weird. Well, even more weird than obviously I am. And you can stick something on YouTube, a documentary or iPlay or something on your other monitor or on your iPad or something, and just keep watching that while you're jumping is quite a relaxing way to pass time. So look up the Colonia Highway if you haven't been there. Good stopping points on the way to Colonia where you can rest and kind of not save your game. That's not quite how it works, but you know what I mean, right? You've got a place you can stop in there. So never log out on a carrier you don't know. You went to Colonia by accident. How did you manage that? Robotronic says, this week I jumped from the Crab Nebula to Elands. Wow, that's a long old haul. Okay, so I've been doing it in stages, and even in this ship, it takes time to get there. It's the galaxy's a big place. Funny that, isn't it? It's really, really quite large. Which is a really good thing about Elite Dangerous. It does get you to appreciate the scale of space, even though obviously we're using total science fiction here to jump 60 light years in just a few seconds. Even then, it still takes a long time to get about in a galaxy. The galaxy's big. That's good. So fall asleep on a carrier. Oops. That's not a good idea. Drew, do you have any knowledge on how to get mysterious idols? Commodity? I don't actually. I'm going to have to look that up then. No, I don't know about that one. Piglet Stan says, I missed the conversation. What are you going to ask David Brabenck? Well, I'm just basically going to send him a recorded delivery note, okay, asking him to change everything that's wrong in Elite Dangerous, in my humble opinion. So obviously the Imperial Courier is the big one. The measurement system, I don't like the measurement system. I think light seconds should be replaced with astronomical units. I particularly don't like the D-throttle as you come out of hyperspace, because there's no such thing as a D-throttle. And you can see last week's stream for my rant on the D-throttle, because a throttle is D doing, it is D, okay? It's D whatever it is that you're doing, by the nature of it being a throttle. So, and there are other things, okay? So, but that'll do for the start. Oh yeah, Phobos and Deimos, where have they gone? Yeah, why is Ceres not in the game? All these things I demand an answer, and I think after 6 years, it's about time. Yeah, I think we deserve an answer, don't you? After all this time. So I'm doubly de-throttling again. So you can't de-throttle. I know I've already had a rant about this, but you can't de-throttle. You throttle. And space should be blue. That's what it was, wasn't it? Space should be blue. Yes, blue is the background colour of space. And why can't we land on planets with atmospheres? Why isn't that done yet? And where do the rings around Astro go? You know, all this stuff that's important. So yeah, consistency in the law. That's quite a big ask, actually. So I'm thinking, I'm using now, and I think I might do it just because I'm very mischievous like that, thinking of sending a recorded delivery message to Mr. David Braben at Frontier Developments in black with an Imperial courier, the one from Frontier Elite 2, not the modern one, the old one, the proper one, emblazoned on the front, so we know whose it's from. Saying, "Oi, these things need to be fixed, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you very much." So we shall see. Commander JT says, "I don't get this D discussion. I grew up with double D clutch." Well, that's true. Yes, that's a good point, actually. So if something's being but when the clutch is up in a car, it's engaged, right? So it's clutched. If you de-clutch, then you're pushing the clutch down, I think. So then you're declutched, right? In order to double declutch, which of course you need to on old cars to sync the gears, because they don't have synchromesh, then you have to press the clutch pedal down twice. So I think that's okay. I think you can declutch. I just don't think you can de-throttle. So anyway, that's my beef. That's my, as you know, that's my view. And then why would a hyperspace system have a throttle anyway? Because it's not sucking air in, is it? So anyway, there we go. Enough of that. Onwards. De-throttle is pedal to the... Well, that's exactly right. Yeah, logically that's what it would be. So I think it's wrong. It needs fixing. It's on my snagging list that I'm going to send to Mr. Braben. That would be quite funny. Anyway, so we are on our way. Let's go back. Let's go back to the topic of the evening. Is we are going to Evelyn's Light. Now this is a relatively new system in Elite Dangerous. It was only put in, I think, over the summer or maybe the spring. I can't remember when it was done. Now I don't know knowledgeably if there was a system here before and it's been renamed, which is probably what Frontier did, I suppose. Oh, hello. A white dwarf, I think. Yeah, haven't seen one of those for a while. Don't want to crash into the exclusion zone of that, thank you very much. Let's stay away from that. Can't refuel there. Interesting enough. Whoa! No, I've just hit it. Oh, I thought that was far enough out. Oops. Now I'm going to cook myself. Alright. Sorry about that. I thought I was away from the exclusion zone. Now I've just crashed. Now, why is it only jumping me 14 light years? It's doing something funny with the route plotting here. I don't know why it's doing that. I've got fastest route set, so it obviously thinks that. Look at all the people who are en route. That's awesome. Really nice there. Look, that's all the people who are en route. Most of you ahead of me are doing really well. Anyway, so I've just crashed my ship into the exclusion zone, which I thought I'd avoided, but obviously not. Let's have a quick look at it. There's a jolly nice white dwarf over there, which is cooking my ship. Right, so I think I'm ready to go again. Here we go. Let's hope it doesn't melt my ship on the way out. I should really have some heat sinks on board, but I keep forgetting to fire them up. I could do shields off. I think my ship's actually, I've just got 1% damage there. It won't be too bad. This crate does run quite nice and cool, to be honest. It's not really a problem. White dwarfs do have a huge exclusion zone. Okay, well that's good. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. So what was I saying? Yes, we are going to Evelyn's Light. So thank you very much for the comment there, Piglet Stand, about the story. So yes, so it's connected to a few things actually. In 2019, I got in contact. Actually, Zach Antonacci started all this off. He got in contact with me in 2019 about a young lad by the name of Michael Holyland, who was sadly dying. He was still alive at the time, and he was suffering from a fatal disease, and was only literally being given days and weeks to live. And Zach came up with this idea of making an audio book for him, because he was an avid Elite Dangerous player. It was about the only thing that was kind of giving him any joy at the end of his life. 15-year-old boy. I mean, tragic, obviously. And Zach got hold of me and said, "Can you write an Elite Dangerous story in like a day?" I went, "Well, I'll certainly give it a go." And they said, "Well, but what we're doing is basically lining up some audio guides, and if you can get it up to Frontier on the Tuesday, we'll record it and get it straight across to Michael." And Michael's uncle Matt was involved, and he kind of managed the whole scenario with Zach. Now I just wrote the story, and the Frontier guys recorded it, added audio in from the game, and all that kind of good stuff, and got it to Michael. Now he managed to listen to it literally the day before he died, which was kind of a relief for us that he got to hear it, but obviously tragic that he passed away so shortly afterwards. Now, that was the thing that we did, and huge props to Frontier. I think there's also a system called Michael's Rest, perhaps somewhere in the game. I haven't visited it, so maybe somebody can tell me. Somewhere in the game there's Michael's Rest, I think I'm right in saying. And it's lovely that Frontier were able to kind of place a memorial into the game in that sort of fashion. So you can look up Michael's story. It's available on my YouTube channel. It's available in a few other places. Just it's a free to air audiobook about Elite Dangerous, set in the universe, and you can obviously go listen to that. And Michael wanted to share his story with the Elite Dangerous community after he was gone. He was very clear on that. So we did. Now in the early part of this year, I saw, not similar in the sense, but another tragic story, and it was after the event this time. I hadn't seen it before. I saw a post by Commander Jello Wiggler. He is on the forum. I don't know if that's what his name in the game is, and he had posted up basically saying to Frontier, "Is there any chance you could place something in the game for my daughter?" And his daughter had died of another really tragic rare condition, literally just a few days before, at the age of 11, again tragically young. Now Evelyn is this little girl's name. Now she didn't play Elite Dangerous per se, but she watched her father play it, and she was always interested in space and the kind of all those sort of things. It didn't seem initially that there was an appetite to do the same sort of thing at the Frontier end, so I basically said to Commander Jello Wiggler, "Look, I wrote the story for Michael, you may have seen it. I'm more than happy to write one for there's another white dwarf. I'm going to go diving right out the way this time." I'm more than happy to write one for Evelyn. I let Frontier know what I was doing, but they didn't initially respond to it, which they're busy guys. That's fine. And I wrote this story and called it Evelyn's Light. And so that story is also available on YouTube if you want to go and watch it. And hopefully some of you have, because it's kind of important for tonight, because otherwise spoilers are coming up. Okay, so that is that's basically what happened there. So I wrote the story. Now I produced it myself, so it's kind of an unofficial production, whereas I suppose Michael's story is arguably an official Elite Dangerous audiobook produced by Frontier. Evelyn's story isn't in the same regard, but what I try to do is when I record it, because I now do my own audiobooks, I've got all the right gear for the mixing and various other bits. Now it's not quite the same quality as Frontier can do, because they've got really expensive stuff and I haven't. Okay, I'm an individual, but I'd learned a few techniques off them over the time, and so I produced the Evelyn story as an audiobook as well, and I added in special effects from the game and various other bits and pieces, and we gave that back to the community as well in celebration of Evelyn's life. I didn't think too much more of it after that event. The community did what the community does. They expressed their condolences A few of them met up in game and had a salute for Evelyn, all those kind of things that the community is very good at doing. That's great, and I think for Commander Jello Wiggler, very touching to know that there's this community of people from all around the world. Now, I think I'm right in saying he's in America, not that it really matters, it's just one of those things that I think you note. One thing that was particularly tricky for me, actually, is that I was reading up about this, and when I write a story for somebody, I like to have some detail about them that I can kind of place in the story in a sort of narrative kind of context. And one of the things that came out straight away, of course, was that Evelyn and her family were quite religious. Okay, so they are Christians, unashamedly so, and I respect that. I'm not, but as far as I'm concerned, live and let live. So I felt I had to respect that in some way and embrace it, but not. I obviously couldn't use it to preach a message, and I would be very, very wary of, undermining anything in a kind of religious context. That's obviously not the place to do something like that in a story of this type. But it did give me how am I going to do justice to that belief in an Elite Dangerous story and keep it real, if that makes sense. That took me a while to kind of figure out what I was going to do, and then I came up with this idea. How can I do justice to the story of Christianity in Elite Dangerous? What could I possibly do, and how could I involve Evelyn in that? And that was the challenge, and I was sort of racking my brains for a little bit, thinking, what am I going to do if I set myself an impossible task? So yeah, if you want to find the story, it's on my YouTube channel. So literally just go to YouTube and type in Evelyn's Light with an apostrophe S, and it should be dead easy to find. You can't miss it. It's got a picture of Evelyn as the thumbnail. So anyway, so eventually I came up with this idea, and it's basically and spoilers for those of you who haven't seen it. But I've given you fair notice, so I can't really talk about it without spoilers at this point. So if you don't want spoilers and you haven't heard the thing, you're going to have to mute, okay, or come back and watch this stream after the event. So essentially, what happens is there's this thing, okay. So you most of you will know the Christmas, even if you're not a Christian, you will know the Christmas story, okay. So there's basically in the Bible there's 4 books of the New Testament: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and what that gives you is 4 different accounts of the life of Jesus from when he was very young, or how he was born, to the point where he died, and according to them, rose from the dead and became the saviour of mankind. So the Gospels tell us the story of how Jesus came to be born, and there are various prophecies about that. And in one of the books, Matthew, I think it is, there is this story of a star appearing in the sky to herald the birth of Jesus Christ. So Bible spoilers. Yeah, I think the Bible's been out long enough that I don't need to caveat the Bible spoilers. If you have, actually, probably many of you won't have read the Bible. I actually have read the Bible. It's not what you necessarily expect it to be. The Bible, quite surprising, some of the content. So anyway, so there are some spoilers coming as to my story. In terms of the biblical story, I think you know how that goes. So in the Gospel of Matthew, basically, there's this story of some wise men. Itself quite an unusual thing to have wise men, but anyway, these wise men see a star appear in the sky, an unusual star, which guides them to the place where Jesus has just been born. Now, it's not clear from the account precisely what the nature of this star is, or exactly what its nature is, or how it works, or when it appears. It's some scholars would have you believe that the wise men didn't turn up the same year that Jesus was born. They turned up, potentially several years later. So, and who knows? Okay, but the story goes that these wise men, and there are traditionally 3 of them, but it doesn't actually say that. They are given some names in some of the carols, but that's totally just made up. And so anyways, these wise men see a star, indeterminate number of wise men, and they travel from somewhere further east of what is present day Israel, and to go and visit this place where Jesus is born, because they see this star in the sky and they basically say, well, this is unusual, this is not expected, this means something. And the study of astrology as it was would lead them to believe that this an appearance of a star in the sky would mean something. And so that's there's a star. Okay, so that's a good start for an Elite Dangerous story. Stars we can do. This star appears in the sky. Now, there are lots of theories that astronomers and other weather people have come up over the years as to what exactly this star was, because of course back in that period of time, this is obviously 2,000 years ago, there were lots of prophecies associated with it, which was basically saying that if a star appears in the sky, it's significant. There were prophecies of a king being born that were due to come around at the time, and these wise men would probably have been aware of them. So lots of sort of things that maybe would connect up. Now, these wise men were probably astrologers. Okay, probably astrologers. Now, that is a bit of a nefarious word nowadays. Okay, so if you're an astrologer, you're normally a bit of a kook who's basically writing horoscopes in a newspaper. Okay, that's what astrology is today. But and astronomers will probably quite rightly dismiss astrology, okay, because it's just bunkum. But back then, astrology was as close to a science as you could actually have, because they didn't have much in the way of astronomical instruments that we recognise. This is long before the telescope was invented. That was about 600 years ago with Galileo. And so, astrology was as much of a science as it could be in that period. So what they would do is they would study the stars. They would note that the stars appeared to change with the seasons and then came back round again. They would argue whether or not that meant that the Earth was the centre of the solar system or the Sun was the centre of the solar system. Those arguments were already happening in that time period. They would discuss the nature of what they could see in the sky, and they would note things that were unusual. So they would have noted that the planets, which of course they didn't know were different to the stars because they look kind of the same, they would note that the planets moved slowly against the background of the stars. In fact, the word planet, if you translate it, means wandering star. For most people looking up into the night sky, our planet does look in fact entirely like a star because it's a bright point of light in the sky. Which is a fairly good definition of a star, okay? But the planets move against what is obviously it's not really a static background of stars, but for all intents and purposes over a human lifetime it is. The planets move, and they move quite regularly. For example, Jupiter goes round the sky once every 12 years. Mars goes round every 2 years. Venus and Mercury do a weird dance around the sun, okay? So all those things, so they knew this, and they knew what the expected patterns of the movements were. They had been observing these for a long, long time. So astrology back then was a reputable thing to be doing, unlike today when it isn't. He says with a slightly snooty astronomical hat on, which is obviously this one. You can take me extremely seriously with this hat on. So that's basically what these wise men were probably saying. They would have noted anything unusual in the sky. They would have gone, "Ha, this is weird. What does that mean?" And they would leave Russell Grant alone. Well, he's made a jolly good living out of astrology, I'm sure. I'm sure he's far richer than me. So maybe there is something in it after all. Morgan Freeman is God. Yes. So yeah, I think they came from the Babylon kind of way. Anyway, so regardless where they came from, they would have been studying the skies. Now, what was it in the sky? Okay, the Bible calls it a star. Was it really a star? So there's various theories. Okay, it could have been Because there's a few things that the star does which are a bit weird. Okay, so it appears in the sky and seems to hang over. They say it appears in the east, and then, but that doesn't really make a great deal of sense, because if they were in Babylon and followed a star rising in the east, they'd have gone further east. So that doesn't really help. Then then you can read it that it rose in the east and then moved to the west, which of course all stars do, if you're kind of looking at it from the perspective on the ground. So that doesn't make a great deal of sense either. But it might mean that, if a new star appeared, it would appear in the east, and then during the course of the night it would move to the west. So you could argue you could follow a course based on that star. And follow it. Now, this star is reputed to have stopped over the town of Bethlehem, which of course is where Jesus is supposed to have been born. Now, it's quite hard to get a star to stop over a particular place. In fact, there's no mechanism that we know of for a star to do that. So, what did they mean? Did they really mean that it was stopping, or did they arrive at a place and then kind of add the two things together? Because there were prophecies about a king and there were prophecies about Bethlehem. So if they were in the vicinity of Bethlehem and the star was in that direction, that would kind of maybe think, aha, it kind of all lines up. So what was it? Was it a star? Well, a new star appearing in the sky is not unheard of. Some astronomers have basically said, well, maybe there was a conjunction of the planets, exactly the sort of thing that's happening now. So if you look at it, if you're in the northern hemisphere, if you look out of an evening at the moment, you're just after the sun's gone down to the south and the west, you'll see Jupiter and Saturn very, very close together in the sky. In fact, on the 21st of this month, just a few days' time, they're going to be at the closest they've ever been in the sky for 800 years. So get out there and watch that, because that's going to be a thing. Okay, that's not going to happen again in your lifetime. So that's worth knowing. So Jupiter and Saturn are going to be so close that they're going to look like almost like a double star in the sky. Now, that sort of thing would have definitely made the ancient astrologers go, that's unusual, that's weird. Why is that happening? Maybe it means something. Okay, and if your culture is used to associating meaning in the sky, that's going to be significant. Now, that's one explanation. Maybe there was a conjunction of the planets in some unusual way. Now, the problem with that one is we can, of course, nowadays simulate the positions of the planets. And if you go back in time to that sort of epoch, you can look at all the conjunctions that there would have been around that time and analyse them. And if you do that, there are some conjunctions that look reasonably good, but none of them are as good as the one that's happening today, oddly enough. So whilst a lot of planets would have appeared in the same area of the sky, they wouldn't have overlapped in some amazing kind of spectacular way. It says a star, and those wise men would probably have known the difference between a star and a planet at the time. So it doesn't, to me, sound like a great explanation. It's a spaceship. It's the Christa Burr song, of course. I've forgotten about that. Yes, so Christa Burr solved the mystery by turning into a spaceship from some alien force. Which is an explanation, maybe it worked. Maybe it was just a ship. So somebody brought their Asp Explorer back to Earth, went back in time, hovered over Bethlehem on 25th of December 000, and I know it's not that date. And went, haha, there we go, job done. Who knows? But anyway, so the planet lining up theory, I don't think fits. Okay, now the other theory is that it was a comet. Okay, so comets do appear in the sky. We had one this year, actually, quite recently. They can be quite bright. They certainly can appear in the sky, and they move from night to night, and they point in a particular direction as they travel around the sun. So that's got all the hallmarks of pointing you in a place, and potentially pointing you in different directions as the comet moves around the solar system. So that is quite a good explanation. Aspects are always there in front of things. Yeah, they are. So that one to me isn't a bad. That one isn't a bad explanation. The only problem with that one, the only problem with that explanation is comets in ancient times were almost universally associated with bad news. Okay, so if you saw a comet in the sky that was unexpected, i.e. you hadn't predicted it was coming, it usually meant something bad was going to happen, not something good. The association with comets was we're going to lose a battle, or there's going to be a plague, or there's going to be famine, or something bad. Okay, so comets are usually in historical periods associated with bad news. So it seems a little bit unlikely that these astrologers would go, oh look, there's a comet, great, let's go and find a king who's about to be born, because that's probably not the association they would have made. So that's a bit of a shot in the comet theory. The other one, and the one I ultimately ended up going for, is that it was a supernova. Okay, now we are due in our galaxy about one supernova every 150 years. That seems to be about the going rate for supernovas. Okay, it wasn't great news for Herod, no it wasn't, or the children he killed, of course. So some nasty bits of work actually going on in the biblical story there if you read into it. So Herod and what he did to all the firstborn boys in the area. Total genocide. So like I said, the Bible is full of stories like that. Some of them are quite gruesome. So I tend to agree that is definitely bad news. So maybe that's an explanation. But the one I favoured was a supernova. Okay, so we've covered supernovas in the Astro tour, and the supernova obviously is the explosive end of a large star. And in the process of going supernova, in just a few minutes, the star can push out as much power as a normal sized star can generate in millions of years. Okay, so it's an absolutely colossal explosion. So Cabell is telling me off for not being precise. Yeah, quite right. It's I'm talking about the collapsed end of a star, not the other type. Good point. If we're gonna be pedantic, we've got to do it right? So that's good. The explosive death of a star, and what you're left with after a star of that type goes bang is generally a neutron star, or sometimes a black hole. In fact, there we are. Look, I've just arrived at Evelyn's light. Awesome. That was very good timing. So before I jump into the system, I'll just explain what that was all about. So I've been rambling for a bit, but anyway, we've got to the supernova. Okay, so the idea I had was that there's a supernova, right, that goes bang at some point in the distant past, and the light from the supernova reaches Earth at the point where Jesus is born. The astrologers, the wise men, see the light of this star. It suddenly appears in the sky because it's incredibly bright. Supernovas are hugely bright. So from the perspective of the astrologers of the time, it would appear like a really, really bright star has just suddenly appeared where there was no star before, because the previous star would be so far away that it simply wouldn't be visible. It'd be too far away to be visible under normal conditions, certainly to the naked eye. But a supernova, no, you can see that. In fact, if a supernova went off in that sort of range, it would be visible in daylight. That's how bright these things are, okay? A point of light visible in daylight. And so at night, it would be utterly spectacular. You would see this thing shining almost as bright as the full moon, casting shadows on the ground. That's how bright you're talking for a supernova in the night sky. And that would get people's attention, okay? The same thing actually happened with the Crab Nebula. We went there a few weeks ago. The Chinese astronomers in about the year 1000 recorded a new star appearing in the sky that stayed there for about a month and then slowly fizzled away and disappeared. And today, when we look at that patch of space, then there's a nebula there, the explosive remnant of a star. So anyway, so I put the idea, okay, let's make the Star of Bethlehem actually a star. Okay, so it goes bang. So that's the premise of the story. There's a star out there. So what I basically did is I've written a story for Evelyn's Light, which basically is an exploration story. Okay, so probably quite nice for the people on this on the stream, because it's our kind of story. Okay, so there's a ship that goes out there. It's a crate, because I like crates, and it's exploring this part of the galaxy. Maybe a few years ago now, but it's exploring this part of the galaxy, and they think that nobody else has been this way, and yet they jump into the system and they find a signal, and they go down, they land, they dig out this signal, and they find it is a message from Evelyn, and basically saying, look, I'll give you loads and loads of free exploration data if you take this home and but just give me this one system. Just give me this one system. I want to put my name on this system. And so the people who find the message basically, okay, so we'll have the free exploration data. They take it all the way back to the bubble, and they give Evelyn credit for discovering this particular system. And then Evelyn's a hollow recording of the rest of Evelyn's message comes up, and basically she explains to the other explorers why the system's so important. And what this actually is that this system is the Star of Bethlehem. Okay, so in Elite Dangerous lore now, this system is the Star of Bethlehem. This is a star that blew up. It is 20,000 light years from Earth. So it blew up, let's get this right. So it blew up, I think, 18,000 years ago. The light from it took 18,000 light years to get to the Earth, where it appeared in our sky on Earth 2,000 years ago, lit up the sky for the wise men to follow. And the idea was that Evelyn figures this out. So Evelyn figures out this was the Star of Bethlehem. She triangulates its position, goes find it, gets the evidence, and then, but for some reason she can't come home, which are the details of that are in the story, but she gets these other explorers to credit her with the discovery of the Star of Bethlehem. So in Elite Dangerous lore, Evelyn Faye Roy, who's this little girl who sadly died earlier this year, discovered the Star of Bethlehem in the Elite Dangerous universe. So now what was particularly nice after that was that Frontier must have listened to the story. They didn't tell me specifically, but they must have listened to the story, and then they put this system in the game. So Evelyn's Light, I think, became part of the Elite Dangerous universe in-game sometime over the spring and summer this year, which means that you can go and visit it. Now, they've put some other things in the system. I don't know exactly what, because that's why I wanted to come out here and have a look. So they have put a few other things in memory of Evelyn in the system. But the moment they did that, of course, it effectively becomes canon in the Dangerous universe. So now it's quite nice that Evelyn is the discoverer of the Star of Bethlehem. That whole mystery is now effectively, in the Elite Dangerous universe at least, is complete. And this is Evelyn's Light here. This is the remnant of the star that exploded and became the Star of Bethlehem. So that was my way of bringing the threads of Elite Dangerous, the memory of a wonderful young lady who was sadly taken long before her time, and that myth and then that story of Christmas and Christianity into the Elite Dangerous universe. So that's basically what the story is. So you can go and listen to it, like I said, on YouTube. Go and find it. That's the story of Evelyn's Light. So a 2,000-year-old story arc. Yes. So that's the other nice thing about it. And I could give those things a bit of closure. So that's quite good. Right. So I'm going to jump into the system now. I've not been here before, so I'm going to be interested to see the memorial. I understand there's something in here. So I suppose, yes, it's an 18,000-year story arc, isn't it? Because that's when the star exploded. But of course, it takes light a long time to get across there. And the star is tagged as discovered by Commander Jello Wiggler, who I presume is as close as the devs could get. So yes, so Commander Jello Wiggler is Evelyn's father. So that's entirely appropriate, which is awesome. So and lovely of Frontier to do that. Okay, lovely of Frontier to do that. So really, really good. So right, I'm going to jump into the system. Here we go. Just waiting for the jump. So thank you for all the fleet carrier owners, by the way, who I know are waiting. So that's really cool. And I know there's a lot of ships who wanted to make this pilgrimage, and I do appreciate you all taking the time, because it's a long way out of the core world. Now we're 20,000 light years from home, so I do appreciate it that you've all come out here as well to be that as well. The memorial is a tough read. So yes, I've heard about the memorial. So here we go. So this is it. This is Evelyn's Light, this is the star. So this is the Star of Bethlehem, which I think is just lovely. So that's fabulous. So let's have a look on that system map. First things first, let's have a look at the stars, because here's the neutron stars. First discovered, there we are, by Jello Wiggler. That is Evelyn's father. And I think you've been told, so first discovered by the entire system effectively belongs to Commander Jello Wiggler, which is a lovely thing. I assume Frontier's overridden that to put that in. So that's amazing. And I can see at least 6 fleet carriers here. So thank you very much for bringing those along as well. So that's lovely. The entire system belongs to Commander Jello Wiggler, which is absolutely great. So thank you much for Frontier for doing that. That's really appreciated. Whoops. Try not to crash and die. That's the other thing. I thought I'd throttle off that, though I obviously hadn't. So here we are. I'm now really close to the Star of Bethlehem, probably a little bit too close. So I will maintain a respectful distance there. So yeah, I don't want to frazzle my ship. So right, back to the system map for a moment. So now the fleet carriers. Now I do know a little bit about this, but this is okay. So there's a fleet carrier here that PDES Cloud Base. That's not one I've even heard of, so I don't know who that is. But over here we have a few, and Evelyn's Dwarf Xmas. So I'm assuming that is the Red Dwarf. The JMC mining ship Red Dwarf, especially renamed for today. So thank you very much, Evelyn's Dwarf Xmas. We have Evelyn's Womble Xmas, and I know that's Commander Sea Dweller's ship. So thank you very much for bringing that. And I think you started this idea of renaming the fleet carriers for Evelyn. So a little bit of homage to Evelyn as well. So thank you again for doing that. It's really cool. Evelyn's Womble Xmas. We have Evelyn's Absolute Xmas, so the absolution. So thank you very much for that one. Hooray for the Wombles tidying up this far as well. So Evelyn's Absolute Xmas. So again, following the naming convention, which is lovely. That's all totally spontaneous as well. I didn't organise this, so thank you very much to the fleet carrier owners for doing that. We have Evelyn's Longship Xmas, which is awesome as well. Thank you very much for that. And we have Evelyn's Amidari Xmas as well. So ships that are very familiar to me now, having been along for the entire Astro tour. Army Squirrel says Evelyn's Valiant Xmas is en route as well and should make it by the end. That's lovely. So thank you all. I really appreciate you A, coming out this far, and B, making this little special tribute for Evelyn as well. So I'm sure if Commander Jello Wiggler was here, I did let him know we were on stream, but he's not in the same time zone as us, so he may not be able to join. I did let him know that we were streaming, so I'll send him the link to the stream once I've uploaded it to YouTube in the next 24 hours or so. So he will, I'm sure, be very touched that so many people still remember Evelyn. Thank you guys for coming out this way. I do appreciate it. We are a long way there. I could watch the Valiant jump in. How close are you, Army Squirrel, to jumping in? Because yes, we could definitely do that. I'm just looking at the time. So we're at 9 o'clock. We've got plenty of time, so it's good. I'm getting better. After being the elite explorer, I should really, shouldn't I? Anyway, so this is Evelyn's Light. So this system is in the Elite Dangerous lore, and I can say this that this is the Star of Bethlehem. This is the system. Evelyn's Light is in lore in Elite Dangerous, the Star of Bethlehem. So that's awesome, man. Thank you ever so much for coming in here. Now let's. There is a log, so if Army Squirrel can tell me. Still 2 jumps to go. It'll be about 35 minutes. Okay, so plenty of time. I'm going to go to the memorial, okay, which isn't very far away. There it is there, and it's appropriate that we go and visit the memorial to Evelyn. I just need to make sure I do it without cooking my ship. I think I'm good. So, and Frontier has obviously put this in the game for Evelyn as well. So those who are just joining the stream, Evelyn was a young girl, 11 years old. She died of a disease called Neuroblastoma, and I don't know the specifics of it, but it's it took her life at the age of 11, which is utterly tragic. I mean, I'm 50 now, and I don't consider that I've had enough time on this planet to do the things that I want to do. To be taken from the world at the age of 11, and as a father myself, I've got 2 boys, and they're considerably older than that now. But I can't even envisage what the horror of losing a child like that. It is that is a devastating thing. But it's also nice that the Elite Dangerous community and the developers, and props to developers, okay, can do things like this. Okay, they can embrace community ideas. They can bring things together, make things happen, put things in the game, and act as a source of comfort for for the family. Now, nothing we can ever do can ever replace a child like that, but at least we can honour her memory in such a way, in something that we do, that's something that means an awful lot to us all. So people can be very dismissive of video games, computer games, and that just proves that they're very ignorant and they don't understand what it's about. 150 years ago, people would congregate in churches and meeting halls. We don't tend to do those sort of things so much. Some of us still do, but many of us don't. But we still have community, and this is the important thing: is that community is what makes us all tick. We all need community; it's good for us. And some of us are, a community inside a video game. It sounds like a strange concept to us, but it's not alien at all. It's what we do, and the ED community has proved over the last many years it's capable of greatness at times. It can be quite annoying and silly at times as well, but it can do great things when we come together to a common aim. And things like this is one thing that the community of Elite Dangerous does extremely, extremely well. So what do I actually have to do? Do I have to scan something? I imagine I've got to. So there's I'm not sure what that installation is. It is a listening post. Okay, so there we are. I'm scanning the listening post. So presumably it will give me a message. I don't know if it's audio one. There we go. So I assume I've now got discovered logs. There we go. Colours. Yeah, there we go. So I believe I'm right in saying that this is either something that she wrote or something that was read out for her. An audio aspect but not spoken. Okay, let me just play it then. Okay, so there's a strange sort of sound. I don't know what that is then. I suppose like a signal over and over again. So anyway, so there we go. That's that. It's just a beacon noise. Okay, so let me switch that off. I'm going to read this out because I think it's appropriate that I do since we're here. So this is colours. Now I'm assuming that she wrote this, and they've used her birth dates in the timeline of Elite Dangerous, which is quite nice. So Evelyn Faye Roy here is 3294 to 3306, which is however many years in the future Elite Dangerous is from now. That's what that they're actually doing. So colours then by Evelyn Faye Roy. If I were teal, I would be a long wave crashing amongst graceful big whales, feeling freedom and happiness. If I were gold, I would be a beautiful starfish, and I would be called the star of the sea. If I were lilac purple, you would find me growing as a tiny flower, laying on the soft warm sand on the beach. If I were millennial pink, I would be a seahorse prancing in the sea, or a comfortable beach house for children to have fun in. If I were apple green, you could say I was in the bottom of the deep blue sea, having many different colourful fish living happily in me. If I were luminous yellow, I would be the large bright sun, racing the water at sunset while everybody watches in awe. If I were hot pink, I would be a pretty jellyfish, leaping in the fresh water, watching the fish swim on by. If I were navy blue, I would be a seashell washing up on the shore, feeling the touch of sand against me while being the most elegant thing in the salty ocean. If I were white, I would be a piece of sea glass, as people walk along the shoreline collecting more of me. If I were sky blue, I would be the sky above the never-ending sea, home to many creatures, watching them as they play. And there we go. So, a poem, I believe, by Evelyn, immortalised in the game universe of Elite Dangerous. So, thanks to Frontier for putting that in. Thanks, I suppose, also to Commander Jello Wiggler for allowing that to be here, so we can share, a moment for Evelyn. And yeah, it's sad, but there's a joy in this sort of stuff as well, that so many people will have heard the story of this little girl that perhaps wouldn't have heard otherwise. So there we go. So thank you all for making this little pilgrimage with me. It was a privilege to be involved. These things are you can't take them lightly. They're significant, obviously, when you're trying to write something appropriate, you do go through great bits of self-doubt as to whether or not your writing is the right thing to be doing. There's a lot of introspection about these things, trying to get the right balance between them. So, but huge thanks to Frontier for putting this in here. To make that memorial an important thing. So this is video games at their best, shall we say? And thanks to you guys. Thanks to you guys for coming out here and spending time, traveling. And it is a game. We're playing it, but it's a commitment in time and effort to make your way out here. And I do appreciate it. And I know that Commander Jello Wiggler would appreciate it too. That so many people have made their way out here to kind of pay their respects to the memory of Evelyn. So well done, guys. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the efforts you've made, to the fleet carrier owners as well. It's a great thing for you to have done. So I really appreciate that. That's awesome stuff. So it's only appropriate, I think, that let's see if we can get our ships. Those of you who are here, if you're in the system, see if you can make your way to the memorial. We'll just see if we can get a few ships in the system, and we'll just form up information here. And have a moment, I suppose, to remember Evelyn. For those of you who haven't seen her, there is a picture. Let me just fire it up on my website so that I can show it to you. A picture obviously says 1,000 words, so let me do this one. Where is it? There we go. There we go. So if I just get that to the right side. So this is Evelyn. So this is a picture that Commando Jello Wiggler sent me of Evelyn, I think a little while before she got very, very sick. But you can kind of just see here a young lady who would be apparently she was quite feisty, which is good. Very smart, very intelligent, full of life, full of potential, which I think is the most tragic thing about all this sort of stuff. Very inquisitive, wanting to know more about space and the universe and everything that there is to discover about life. It's great that our community can remember her. So well done to everybody who's been involved and come out this far. And particularly at this time of year for Commander Jello Wiggler's family and all of Evelyn's family, a hearty best wishes, I think, from the Elite Dangerous community. I'm sure I can say that on you guys' behalf on stream, that we wish them all the very, very best, and we're out here in the game at Evelyn's light to pay our respects to Evelyn Faye Roy. So I'm just going to turn my ship around a little bit And then we have a few other ships here. And I think I can probably arc around so we can get the, where is the, here it is. So I'm going to just, if I can angle the view here so that we can get the ships. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my ships a little bit behind. So if you can see me, if you're in the instance with me, let's just maneuver a little bit so that we can get the memorial between us and the pulsar. And we can get them both in the same shot, which is going to be quite nice. There we go. I'm just going to move a little bit closer in. There you go. And if you guys want to form up on me, if you're here, that'd be awesome. I'm just going to get my speed to 0. There we go. And so I can adjust the camera as well. So there we go. We are here at Evelyn's Light, 18,000 light years from the core world, at the site of what is now in Elite Dangerous, the Star of Bethlehem, and you know, a memorial here to the memory of Evelyn. So there we go, a definite place to come and visit. So huge props to Frontier for putting this in the game, and thank you to all you commanders for making your way out here. I can see we're actually a little way above the plane of the galaxy too, actually, so it does make for a very pretty place to observe from, actually. So yeah, so it's a lovely spot. It's a lovely spot. So it's a very peaceful spot, considering, of course, this would have been a supernova all those years ago. It's oh, we're below, are we? Sorry. Of course, up and down doesn't make great difference in space. But okay, so we're below the plane of the galaxy here by quite a bit. So most of the galaxy is above us, which is interesting. So actually, if I was going to orientate this, I suppose the right way round, it would look like this. So there we go. So my ship is probably upside down now. I tend to orientate myself instinctively with the galaxy below me. So so there we are, and it's actually you know, it's I think they've, you know, neutron stars actually spin generally quite a lot faster than this, but I think it's actually been deliberately left with this, you know, this very peaceful, subtle way, which I think is appropriate for, you know, for where we are. It's, you know, the neutron star is a beautiful wispy thing, which I think is a lovely, you know, a lovely peaceful place to remember it. So you know, we can always come out here and remember that thing. I suppose there should be a nebula. Yes, I suppose there should be a nebula. Perhaps that could be added at some point, but I don't think we should. I don't think that's one that I'll add on my list of picky things. I don't think that's appropriate. I think it's, you know, it's a lovely gesture for Frontier to put this in the game like this. You know, so there it is. There it is. We have made it, and that does mark the end of the Astro tour itself. So this is the last object on my list. It's who knows whether it's actually out there in the real space. We of course don't know whether the Star of Bethlehem was actually a supernova. It's conjecture. We haven't found anything in space that we can see that actually matches that, but it's not impossible. So you know, perhaps a discovery like this will be made at some point in the future. Who knows? But there we go. It's a lovely wispy pulsar, spinning at a lovely low speed. So there we go. Right. So what we will do now is we're going to wait for the Valiant to jump in, because that's always fun to watch. The rendezvous for tonight's hyperspace jump. For those of you who don't know, we always do a hyperspace jump at the end of the stream. We will be jumping from the fleet carrier Wombling Xmas, I think it's called now. So Commander Sea Dweller's fleet carrier will be the last jump of the Astro Tour, because he got in there first with the request. So and he came up with the idea of, I think, renaming the fleet carriers in memory of Evelyn. So it seems appropriate that we should jump from the Womble. the Womble fleet carrier again. So we will rendezvous with the Wombles shortly, and then start playing the instancing game to get ourselves into the right spot, and then we'll choose a jump destination, etc. I have got the music prepped, and I've got a piece of music which I think is appropriate for not only where we are, but the time of year as well, and is still, I suppose, is still epic enough to justify, you know, a hyperspace jump. So that was an interesting choice as well. Is okay, so what piece of music can I use in a situation like this, where we need to be, you know, we need to have a level of respect to what we're doing. Yeah, we're doing a serious thing here as a community. This is marking the passing of one of our own, and you know, we need to bear that in mind. So I needed a piece of music that kind of celebrated that. I wanted there to be a star connection. It won't be Wombling Merry Christmas. No. I suppose I could have done that. That's not quite what I was looking for. Yeah, there needs to be a mention of a star, because that's important considering where we are. And it needs to, you know, it's Christmas. You know, it's a Christmas special, so you know we need to bear that in mind. So I have selected a piece of music which some of you will know, some of you may not. Once it's playing, those of you who know what it is will hopefully recognise it. If you don't, I'll let you know afterwards what the tune is, because I think it's the right one for what we're doing here tonight. So we'll get to that in due course. So right, so how Commander Army Dweller, how is the Valiant doing? Is it on its way? How are you doing? I think you were aiming to be here in about 15 minutes time, so we've probably got a little bit of time left over actually at the moment. So yeah, 20 minutes out, says Army Squirrel. So we're still waiting. I've just had a in-game something there. What's happened there? Is that a friend request? Probably a friend request. There we go. So yeah, so there we go. So while we're waiting for the Valiant, then let's just have another look around where we have here. So I don't know who this is. The PDS cloud base. I don't know if they're on stream. So if anybody knows who they are, then do let me know. Otherwise, we have. Well, I think since you're all here, while we're waiting for Valiant, I think it's only right that I should do a tour of the fleet carriers who are here. So I'm going to set course to the first one here, Evelyn's Dwarf, Christmas, and I think it's only right that you all get a slice of the stream to look at your vessels. So I'm going to, if you want to follow me, I'm going to take them in order. Those of you who are in the system, I'm going to visit each of the fleet carriers in turn while we wait for the Valiant to turn up. Then we'll watch the Valiant. I'll keep an eye on the time, and we will go from there. Drew Egger, you are going to be back next year for more Astro tours, and we're going to go for an all in search of Rax. Well, okay, so on the subject of what next, there's not going to be a tour immediately. The reason for that being they take quite a lot of work to set up, okay? And I'm only one guy. I'm supposed to be writing books and recording audio and stuff, and actually I've got other jobs as well. So whilst I do love doing these tours, I need a bit of prep time, so there's not going to be a tour straight away, okay? And I've also got to come up with a topic. So we've done lore, and there isn't enough lore to do that again yet. There probably will be with Odyssey. There's already some new stuff coming along, so at some point Odyssey is going to jump into the frame, of course. So there could be an Odyssey, an on-foot walking tour perhaps. We'll have to wait and see, of interesting places that we can go to on foot. So that's something. But that's going to be a little while before that. What I'm planning to do from the new year, and it'll be about 3 weeks' time, so this is going to be my last Elite Dangerous stream of 2020. PDS Cloudbase is my carrier, says Phil. Name is from Captain Scarlet. Okay, we're here on your own tour. Okay, well, very, very welcome. Good to see you. Thank you very much. So another tour. That's awesome. Overlapping tours. Just Moses says, Drew, can you add me in game? Yes, of course you can. Feel free, Commander Drew Wager. My friends list is always open to new commanders. So that's all cool. Not a problem at all. So here's the Evelyn's Dwarf. And we'll do a quick flyby as well. So okay, so you're doing the Sagittarius A tour. Awesome. Okay, well done, guys. So nice that we kind of met in the middle, as it were. Oh yes, Cedar says, Drew, remember later it would be lovely to fill up all the pads on the Evelyn's Womble Christmas, light it up like a Christmas tree. So yes, so we will try and do that. Okay, that's the other thing Sea Dweller suggested to me. Yes, I've forgotten that. Thank you for reminding. When we get to the wombling ship, we're going to all dock in the instance and sit on the pads. Okay, and see if we can get it all lit up. So that's going to be interesting to see how that works. Hopefully it will work. So there we go. So there's the good JMC mining ship Red Dwarf, which has been out here with us for much of the tour. So thank you very much for bringing that along. Really, really appreciated. There's all the pads, and you can just see the. Yeah, look, we can actually see the neutron star in the background there. Oh, I'm being told off for loitering. I better get out of the way. Sorry about that. Everyone has medium ships except the Condor, so it's going to be difficult. We'll see how many ships we can get, so we'll go for it. Otherwise, there's going to be a few queues, aren't there? So anyway, so that was the Red Dwarf. So who's next? Let's go to the. Well, there's one. What I'll do is I'm going to bypass the Wombles this time. Okay, so we're coming back to the Wombles. Let's go to the Absolution next, and we'll jump across there. Maybe get fighters to hover over the small pads, assuming there are people with fighters. I don't know how many. Mostly, it is large and medium ships that we've brought out there. So yeah, so we'll do as much as we can. See how it goes. It's one of those slightly exploratory things that we're going to be trying to do. So keep us posted, Army Squirrel, as to the arrival time of the Valiant. So we can. I think you're probably going to be about one jump away now. So let us know when you're about to jump in, and we can go and travel there. Yeah, the carrier owners might have small ships. So yeah, let's see if we can get all the pads illuminated with ships, and then we can flash our lights on and off and stuff. Try and turn the ship into a Christmas tree. I think there's something slightly weird here, is the colour of the sky changes as you travel in and out of frameshift drive. I'm not quite sure what that's all about. It's now got this blue tinge, which of course is sort of, I suppose, right for the pulsar. So that's good. GT42 with a very, very long username. If you have some time, probably soon when you're going to be back next year, I'd like to have a talk with you. I've got some pretty good info I found out for Raxler. Ooh, okay, good stuff. Spent almost an entire week searching those leads and I've still got good intel. Okay, so maybe there's something new about Raxler that's always worth diving into, so that's going to be good. Yeah, we'll come up with some plans for what we're going to do at the Red Dwarf when we've seen the Valiant arrive. But anyway, here's the Absolution. So again, thank you very much for bringing this ship along. This is an absolute stalwart of the tours. This has been around pretty much, I think, since day one. The Absolution has been all across the galaxy following the tours, so it's lovely to see the Absolution again. Came out on the Lore tour from Earth, and then we ended up taking all the way out to the Formidine Rift. Let's not actually hit the ship. That would not be good. So again, thank you very much for bringing the Absolution. Very much appreciated. Looking very pretty against the backdrop of space there. That's right. Always since the carriers were a thing, yes. So it's definitely one of the early ones. The Absolution. There we go. All these pads kind of upside down in space. Actually, I'm the right way up now. So actually, interesting enough, the fleet carrier is upside down relative to the plane of the galaxy. So Yamoto Buck, yes, thank you very much for bringing your ship. I do appreciate it, and I know how much energy and planning is involved in getting the fleet carriers, particularly this far out, because it is a long way. Obviously, even in 500 jumps, you've got to fuel these things, you've got to keep them running, and that's it's a big commitment. So I do appreciate you all bringing your fleet carriers out here. So the long ship is the next one. I just need to get out of frame mass lock. And it's lovely to see so many of the community have brought their ships out here. It wasn't cheap. No, that's right. They're not cheap, are they? I haven't even got 1 billion credits, at all yet, despite the fact I'm elite. How many credits have I got? I've been a little bit richer now. I've made about 200 million credits doing these tours, which actually has been, for me, that's quite a lot of money. But it pales in significance compared to the cost of running a fleet carrier. I've just done a loop of shame there. That wasn't very good flying. So yes, let's have a look at the longship. Just about coming in. Thank you for all the follows, by the way. I've probably been missing those along the way, so I do appreciate you following. And I don't know, is there a Frontier? There was a Frontier stream earlier on today. I don't know if there's one this evening running at the same time. I do appreciate you being. If the Frontier stream is on, I do appreciate you being here. So thank you very much for coming along. It's very much appreciated. So this is the longship, and I just missed a chat there saying somebody else was planning on bringing a ship but couldn't make it in time. So I do appreciate those who even consider making the effort. So thank you very much for considering it and looking at plans and things that because I know you're all busy folks doing things in the game. That's what we do as well. So so there's the longship. Another glorious fleet carrier, which I'm drifting sideways towards, which isn't very good flying either. And they're all very different, these fleet carriers. Actually, there's lots of different models here, so it's lovely to see them all. I'm just going to spin around, get us another view. There we go. The Axis Prime accompanied the entire lore tour. I wasn't able to keep up this time. Yeah, so thank you very much, Techeron. Yeah, I do appreciate you keeping up. Yeah, the later stages of the Astro tour obviously increased the distances, which did make it a little bit more of a challenge to keep these big ships up. We've covered 2,000 light years this evening, for example. So that's a fair old whack. That's at least 4 jumps for a fleet carrier, which requires some serious planning and dedication. So it's a long way. So, did I see the new dev diary about Odyssey? Yes, I did. It does look quite interesting. I mean, I must admit, I'm not really an FPS type person. So, but even I was looking at it thinking, okay, so it's going to be intriguing to see what extra gameplay elements be. I mean, they're concentrated on shooting and zapping and pow pow and pew pew for the time being, which I suppose is the big kind of draw of these games. That's not really my kind of gameplay. But it's a big selling point. But if we can do some funky on-foot stuff, okay, I can see this potentially having an on-foot lore. I mean, wouldn't it be cool if we could walk to the Jameson's crashed Cobra, for example, and check that out? That would be cool. So there's lots of stuff, and the fact that there's new planet tech coming and all those kind of things, means the game's getting more sophisticated, which can only be a good thing. So I'm looking forward to that. Once it comes out, I will definitely be buying the expansion, obviously. Let's head on out to the Amadari, and so it's going to be, and I want to be able to kind of jump out of my Cobra or my crate as I'm usually flying, and have a look around on foot. I think that's going to be cool. So I hope there's not too much grinding to get myself a different suit or whatever it happens to be, with a decent shield or whatever it is I need. So they need to add swords. Yes, that swords would be good. Stuff like that would be awesome. So interesting enough, the weaponry seems to be mostly kind of beam weapons at the moment, which is definitely in the lore. It was mostly projectile weapons when I was working on the lore many years ago. So, but beam weapons are very much in the lore, so that's quite good. But there's also personal shields, which I've found quite interesting, which I suppose you would need. Okay, so if you're going to be shooting people with lasers and stuff, then it makes sense that you can have a shield. Now that does introduce a few lore-y questions. Okay. So obviously shield technology is clever enough to be miniaturized down to that sort of size, which is cool. That wasn't in the lore of Elite before. It wasn't specifically said that it didn't occur. It just was never mentioned. Okay, so now we know that you can have a personal shield, which actually would have been quite a cool thing to have in the lore. Interesting enough, I did go through my notes, and none of the writers ever asked the question, as far as I'm aware, as to whether or not you could have a shield on yourself to protect you from weapons, which seems like actually a really good question to ask. But I don't think any of us ever asked the question. We just assumed, I think, that you didn't have, that shield technology couldn't be miniaturized to that. So I don't think any of the writers use that in their books. I don't even remember us discussing it. So perhaps it just wasn't something that occurred to us. So that's interesting. That's obviously now in the game, and it's a thing of lore. So I'm going to be interested to see what that does and how it works and how strong it is and what its capabilities are. Anyway, so there's the Amidari. We are here with the Amidari fleet carrier. So thank you again for bringing that along. Can the shields be used to hold atmosphere? Well, that's a good question as well, because the properties of shields are unclear. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what they can and can't do in the game. And there's the pulsar behind us in the distance again. So you get a lovely view from the fleet carriers. It's really, really nice. That's really, really cool. 5 minutes to jump in, says Army Squirrel. Right, so let's hopefully the Valiant has appeared as a POI now. Has it or not? So must be that one, I'm guessing. Is it? There we go. It is arriving. Okay, so everybody make your way over to the Valiant's jump-in point for the moment. We'll go over there and watch the Valiant jump in. That's always a nice thing to do. How effective will the shields be against the ship landing on them? Well, that's the other interesting thing I noticed from one of the previous videos, is that there are ground cannons, aren't they? The ground bases, the outposts and things, do have what appear to be kind of anti-aircraft cannons or weaponry on the ground. So, which some of the bases in Elite Dangerous do now. Again, if you go in with an SRV, you'll be shot at from some of the. But those things looked a bit beefier in the video. So I'm wondering if they're anti-aircraft type guns or anti-spaceship, I suppose they'd be type weapons. So maybe you have to land out of range, take your sort of SWAT team in, take out the defences, and then maybe you can bring your ship in. I don't know. So Dad's Ghost, there is a personal shield in Harper's and Hither. Is there? Okay, it's been a long time since I read that. I'll have to go and revisit it. I do have a copy of that. Okay, so there is a personal shield. So it's interesting. So maybe John had raised that question. So that is interesting. Thanks for the reminder there. That's really good. And the mail slot does seem to have a shield. Yes, you're quite right. So the mail slot in the space stations is capable of holding in an atmosphere, because as you travel through the mail slot, there is an atmosphere on the inside, which always struck me as a rather odd thing to do. But because I would kind of expect that area inside the space station to actually be empty of air. And when you disembark from your ship, then there's a sort of airlock seal, and you just walk into the space station properly. It seems an awful lot of hassle to keep an atmosphere in that piece of the space station. And of course, there's always the danger of damage or something causing that force field to fail. I'm assuming it's got lots and lots of fail safes in it, but it seems like an odd thing to do, because you've got the danger of fires and all sorts of stuff, as we've seen in that area. And the obvious thing to do, as we discussed on the stream a long time ago, was just evacuate all the air and the fires will go out. There's that always struck me as a little bit odd, but anyway, there we go. So, but yes, you're quite right. It does hold back an atmosphere. So obviously, shield technology, whatever shield technology actually is in the universe, is dangerous, and it's never been explained at a deep law level. Shields exist, but how they work and what they're composed of is never been explained. So we don't know exactly. Is it directed energy? Is it some sort of matter? What is it? We don't know what shields are made of. There's no law to that. But it's a good point there. Actually, it's only a low atmosphere, so we don't know what sort of atmospheric pressure it's holding back. But if it can hold back any atmospheric pressure, it's quite impressive. Maybe it slowly leaks over time. I don't know. These are all the sort of questions we need answers to, don't we? Things that we should be writing to Mr. Braben about. Those stations are. I don't know what the interior diameter of the space station docking area is, but it's quite big. There's a lot of air pressure in there, even if the air pressure isn't very high. And of course, it would all be concentrated against that opening because everything else is effectively solid. So. So there'll be a fair bit of atmospheric pressure for that shield to hold back, and it seems to do a very good job of doing it. So quite how that works, I'm not entirely sure, but it's one of those things. Right, so 30 seconds. So let's zoom out. Oops. Let's hope we can see the Valiant arrive here in the darkness of space. Should be some sound effects too, shouldn't there? Oh, and then I think that means it's arriving. That's the. In fact, there it comes. There it is. Yeah, it's very cool. This. Woo! Oh, it's arriving right on top of us. That's the Valiant change. Yeah, so that's a slight bug as well, isn't it? I'm not going to complain too much because that does look spectacular as it arrives. That looks incredible. But there's an oddness there, isn't it? As the fleet carriers jump in and out, the colour of the universe changes. So it's and now we all get squished. Yeah. So it's there we go. So and there's the Valiant. Boom! It has arrived. So welcome to the Valiant. Thank you, Army Scroll, for bringing your ship across. This is Evelyn's Valiant. So, and thank you for bringing your ship out here as well. It's very, very much appreciated. So let's do a fly past of the Valiant, another stalwart of the lore in the Astro tour. And I get my usual pad loitering warning. Very nice. It looks too in a red and green, sort of Christmassy, I suppose. Paint scheme there. Very nice indeed. Right, so now with no further ado, we need to get back to the Womble. The Wimbledon Common, of course, as it should be called. But tonight it is the where's it gone? Evelyn's Womble Xmas. Okay, so all commanders in this vicinity rendezvous at Evelyn's Womble Xmas fleet carrier, and we will meet there, and we will rendezvous as many as we can. Now we need to get on the pads. Okay, we need to get on the pads. So if you can be doing the usual wing instancing stuff as we're getting there. Then that would be great to get as many people into the instance as we can. I don't know how many of us are out here, but it seems like there's quite a few. So everybody jump to, and we're rendezvousing at the Womble Xmas. Oh, and the universe colours changed again. That's a bit weird, that, isn't it? So there's the pulsar over there actually. So I'm just going to bank round a little bit. There we go. I don't want to go too fast. So this is where we will do our hyperspace jump from, and in a short while. Where did the pulsar go? I lost it. It's be around somewhere. We're going to rendezvous here. Now we're going to try and sit down on the pads, I think. Is that the plan, Commander Sea Dweller? So we should be able to get as many of the pads active as possible. So I must admit, I'm in a crate, so I'm going to be pinching a medium pad. Probably some values mismatched because Dev's put a dwarf in the system, so it's changing the colours as we jump in and jump out of Super Cruise, which is quite funny. Right, so there's the Evelyn Wombling Xmas or Christmas. I'm going to request docking in a moment once I'm in range. See if I can nab myself a pad. Oh dear. There we go. Right, I was slightly out of range. So I've got landing pad 10. There we go. I was hoping for the 07, but never mind. So light it up with the deck light. So as many ships, if you can get into the instance, looks like I'm on the far side. So yeah, so light as many of those, basically as many of those docking pads. So we're going to try and light up the fleet carrier as a Christmas tree for that. Once I'm down and safe, to use a Blake Sevenism, I will start helping people with wings. If you're in my instance with me, my fellow wing people, then please drop me out of the wing, and then we will use that to bring other people in as well. So once you're in the instance, you don't need to be in a wing. Let's see how many of us we can get in the instance. There we go. So this is my pad. Pad number 10. I am... Ugh. I wish I had a detent on this throttle. There we go. I'm down. There we go. So, let me just check externally for a moment. Turn the HUD off. I think do the lights stay on? They don't. Do they? Oh yeah, the landing lights sort of stay on, don't they? There we go. Okay, so yeah. So you can see them all lit up. So that's nice. So there's a nice Asp Explorer behind me. Looks like some Imperial ships over there. So yes, that's looking pretty cool. My ship's paintwork is looking distinctly second-hand. Right. So okay. So now we start doing the instancing. So stay on the deck, and so Stefan Snoots is right behind me. Excellent. Okay. So let's try doing right. Kamakichi, you never have much luck with this. So let me try and get you into the instance by sending you a wing. I know Kamakichi has. Right, so there we go. Who else have I got here? So Anna Claire, I know you're here, so you can have a wing invite too. Anybody else who needs one, let me know. Ice Storm Raider. There we go. I've invited you all to the wings, so with a bit of luck, you can jump in. Anna Claire is here. Kamakichi's here. Ice Storm Raider, you should have had an invite. So with a bit of luck, that will work. I'm going to refuel while I'm here and repair my ship, because obviously I busted it slightly. So if everybody who is in the instance with me, I know this is a faff, but if everybody who is in the instance with me, so I'm on pad 10 to the left, I think, of the fleet carrier. If you're here in the instance, you don't need to be in a wing. Can you wing other people up and help them get into the instance as well? And we'll get as many people in here as we can. What we're aiming for is to have the entire all the pads on the ship filled with ships. I'm just going to zoom out and see how we're doing. So there's definitely small pad space there at the front. Don't go into the. It's best not to lower yourself into the ship, otherwise you'll disappear from the instance and you'll have to do it again. So don't go into the hangar. Don't go into the hangar. There's quite a lot of ships here. There's a few more coming down. That's good. So all the lights are on here. This is awesome. So we're just trying to get the fleet carrier lit up as much as possible. It's looking quite good. So right. So a few more screens. So it's not looking too bad. It's not. There's quite a. Somebody got the 07 pad, which of course is the best one. Do I have to be in the private group? Yes, you do. So I think. Let me just have a look at my private group settings while I'm here, in case anybody's jumped in there. I think you should auto add into the group if you send me a friend request. I think it does that for me. So pretty sure that's... I don't need to add anybody, no. So that should be automatic. So if you send me a friend request, you will be in the Drew Wager group. You need to join the Drew Wager private group to be in the instance at all, because that's where we are. Shoot it and the carrier will light up. It's not quite in the spirit of the thing. So try that. So Kamakichi, Anna Claire and Storm Raider, if you are in my instance, then you can drop the wing. Let me know when that's done, and I can put some other people in as well. I can see some ships coming in, which is fantastic. Army School, the docking number lighting is behaving curiously. We're probably overloading. There's Anna Claire. Excellent. Good to see you. Storm Raiders and Super Cruise. Anna Claire is now here. Wing request if you can. So Camden LG, I will send you one as well. So where are you? Camden LG, there we go. Invite to wing. Commander Mizukona, if I pronounced that right. Let's try that. If you can all be doing this on behalf of all the players that we have, that would be great. I can't invite you to the wing according to that at the moment, Commander Mizukona. You're not reachable. So saying you're at the main menu at the moment, so maybe you need to log into the game. Put my lights on. Yes, there we go. I'm going to put my own lights on. So if you've got lights on your ship, which you should of course all have, then put your lights on as well. We may bust the game doing this, of course. I don't know. Has this ever been tried before to fill up all the pads on a fleet carrier? Who knows? This could bust the game. Commander Marok, can I have a wing invite? Yes, I will see if I can find you. There are lots of people here tonight. This is awesome. So thank you very much for bringing along. So hang on. This does it in a slightly funny order. Commander Ice Storm Raider hasn't had any luck yet. Oh, let's just reset itself. I wish it wouldn't do that. Hang on a minute. Commander Marok, where are you on this list? I can't even see you on the list, so I can't find you, I'm afraid. I'll keep looking. Camden LG is here. Ice Storm Raider has managed to get into my wing, so that's good. So once you're in my instance, once you can see my ship, which is a dusky red crate on pad. Just Moses says you've got a little bit of delay. Okay, let me just have a scan down, see if I can find you. Oh, sorry, I just saw Commander Marok there. Where did that go? There's Mizukona. Okay, you're 21,000 light years away. I don't think you're going to be in range somehow. So that's not going to work. You're a bit too far away for joining us on site, I'm afraid. Now I did see you there for a moment, Commander Marok, but I've lost you again. This menu seems to have a slightly, a little bit of a mind of its own. So the pads are filling up, which is good. So there's lots of people here, which is excellent. Well done. There's quite a few still to go. Oh, there's Commander Marok. Right, let me invite you to the wing. Right, with a bit of luck, you'll have got that. If you can't land, yeah, if there's no space left on the fleet carrier, just hang around nearby because we'll all get off the ship again in a bit. Let's have a look at the pads, see how we're doing. It's looking fairly full now, which is excellent. So there's a lot of ships here. Pad 13. So hopefully quite a few of you will be able to see your, let's turn that off, see your ship. So I can see an anaconda over there looking for a space to land. There's a crate over there that can't land. Does it not give the large pads? Take a look at every ship. So yes, I should. So there's a, let's fly up and down here. So is that the back? Yeah, that's the back. So there's an asp here, Cal 1. That's obviously my ship. There's a couple of ships over to the port bow there. There's a small, what's that? Is that a, I don't know, my elite, some of these elite ships I don't know so well. There's a couple of, are they, oh, they're not belugas, what are they called? Dolphins, these ones? So that's nice to see. And there's the, that one, that is the beluga, isn't it? I think. Dolphin, yeah, we go, so there we go. There's a few ships hanging around at the back there as well, some more anacondas coming in. Up here, I think we have a couple of anacondas down, or 4 anacondas actually. A very nice, funky, glowing paint job there. Oop, just hit the exclusion. So let's go back up this way. Actually, let's get this one in all its glory. There we go. Look at that. Very nice ship. Lots of ships hanging around at the back. The lights seem to come on and off, which is interesting. Another anaconda there. So shout on the chat if you see your own ship, because that's obviously cool. That's an anaconda. There's an asp there. Another asp behind that one. So really nice to be able to see all the ships here. That's my asp! Yay! One balloon Christmas glows red. So there's another ship coming in there. Another asp. I think that's the back of the fleet carrier there, isn't it? So let me just wander over here. So let's just make sure we capture. Who's this? This is. Oh, look at that! For Evelyn. Who's done that? That's awesome, guys. Well done. Here's another anaconda with a glowing red. God, there's a lot of ships, aren't there? An imperial. It's a cutter, isn't it? Is it the cutter? Yes, it is the cutter. So looks like that's travelled a few light years, that one as well, by the look of the paintwork on there. But lovely ship. I'd like one of those myself, actually. Pair of anacondas here at the front. Commander Sea Dweller, that's there. Hey, so that's good. So we're getting people into the instance. There's a few other ships hanging about in orbit as well. So this has worked quite well. So there's Grace, nice anaconda there. And it looks like there's a few ships over this side as well. So let's do the other side of things. There's a couple of pads there, but there we go. These are only the small ones, I think, aren't they? I don't think there's any more room on the ship. And don't forget the yellow. So there's a few ships in orbit. Yeah. So I will have a look around in a moment. There's a what looks like an eagle. Is that an eagle? It is. There's a tiny little eagle. Is that an imperial eagle? Yeah, it is. Somebody's brought an imperial eagle out here. So props to that, because that is a tough old ask. There we go. There's an imperial eagle there. Very nice. Another crate. Songs of Distant Earth. I approve of the name. I approve of that name. That's an excellent one. So Songs of Distant Earth is, of course, an Arthur C. Clarke film. Now this ship I know well. This one's been around a lot. The Aristophanes. And I think that's everything that's parked. There's a few ships at the back here. Look, there's one hanging on the back here. So let me just fly up to there. Now we're going to be a little bit over time today, but that's okay. That's okay. Because it's there we are. Look, actually we can see the name of the ship there in the hull lights. There, is that a ship? It is. So I think there's a crate sneaking around at the back here. Who's this? It's all in the dark. Sort of phantom black paintwork. It looks very stealthy and just sort of sneaking around there. Another pair of anacondas here flying around, and a couple of ships now. So there we go. Let's just zoom in on this one. Who's this? Lovely to see so many ships. This is awesome. I didn't necessarily expect so many of you to come out here. This is a Distant Worlds ship. That looks like, is that the original? It is, that's the original Distant Worlds decal, the Recon Explorer. There we are. So that's the original Distant Worlds expedition, which is a long time ago now. Here we have the Gizmo. So good name for a ship. And there's somebody's flying around. There we are. I'm just going to see if I can spot this asp. He's going too fast for the camera to keep up. So whoever that is flying around. Commander Marek cannot seem to get into the instance. I do need a paint job, yes. So I need to get another one. There aren't that many I like for the crate, to be honest. So I'm just going to wander over here to this anaconda, which is turning towards the camera for me, which is jolly nice too. So who's this? I can see the lights, but I can't make out the hull. This is the Queen's Rock. So thank you very much for bringing the Queen's Rock along. Now, who's this with the asp? Who's not staying still long enough for me to zoom in on them? And there's a couple of ships here on the far side as well. So let's just have a look. There's about 3 more ships. Now, if that chap, there's a, is that an orca? Mucky Mat up there as well. Right. Is there any way to make this camera move faster? I don't think there is there? No, Drew. Let me work our way to 0% paint. Yeah. So yes, the Twitch Extra. Right, here's the guy. If that asp could just hold still a moment, then I will, I will pitch it on the stream. There we go. Right. So hang on. Here's a little freighter. This is good. Who's this? This is the Galactic Voyager. Nice name for a ship. And then the asp here is the Nostalgia for Infinity. Oh, well, that's a good name as well. I like that. Another crate. Crate Phantoms are very popular. Very popular indeed. Okay, now I can't see a name here on this crate. The nameplate's normally there, so maybe this is a nameless ship. That's top secret. Camera control mapping requires a detailed discussion. Yeah, so it's hard work. Now, there's one other ship that I haven't. Where is it? At least I think it's up there at the top. Here we go. So let me just fly up over there, and then our tour of the fleet carrier. I'm just going to back away then from the fleet carrier and see if we can get a nice screening of all of us on the deck here, ready to kind of rock and roll. So in a moment, what we should try and do actually is we should try and flicker our lights on and off. Okay, so we can kind of be like a flickering Christmas tree. I think that would be really cool. So actually, from the vantage point of this ship up here, which seems to be camped on the bridge, I'm not sure if this is the end where the bridge is actually, but and this is the only ship I haven't looked at yet. So let's just have a look at this Anaconda here parked up. It just shows you the size of these fleet carriers. They are. No, the Anaconda is not a small ship, is it? Look at the size of these fleet carriers. They're just insanely large. So whose is this ship parked up here? This is coming into range now. This is the Amber Explorer Passenger. There we go. So that's what that ship is. Right. So I am poised here. Let's just go back up. Oops, let's not crash the camera. Okay, there is the fleet carrier before us. Okay, so I'm hoping you guys can flash your lights on and off now, and we should get a kind of funky Christmas tree effect. Can you all do that? See if that works. Does that work? I can't see I can just make out my ship. Yeah, there it goes. It's flickering. So if you've got your lights, just flicker them on and off. There we go. That's awesome. There's a Christmas tree. How cool is that? It's just like a sparkling effect. Yeah, there's something very childish about this, but it's just wonderful. Well done, everybody. That's really, really cool. Now there's a few people still trying to get into the yes. You've got to flash your lights. No, actually, flashing your lights out of sequence is entirely correct for Christmas trees, I think. So. I think that looks pretty awesome. So well done. That looks awesome. Now there are a few people still trying to get a wing invite. So let's give right. It is actually now 10 o'clock, so we need to call time in a bit. But Camden is trying to get in, and Commander Overstigen is trying to get in as well. So if anybody can help them out, that would be great. Let me just try and see if I can find one of them. Commander Overstigen. I can see you. There you go. See if that works. Right, so if I can get you all to very careful. Actually, I need to find a hyperspace destination. So while I'm doing that, Overstigen is in my wing now. So with a bit of luck, you'll be able to get in. Let's find a system for us. Not the system map. Let's find a system for us to hyperspace to. So if somebody can send Commander Camden LG a wing invite, who is in the instance, see if you can get them into the wing. So we're gonna jump here, I think. There we go. I'll type it in the chat. Bramden, no, Brambay, NE-E, NE-E, D13-153. So that's where we're going to jump to, okay? So set your hyperspace destination to that system. And then we're going to be ready to rock. So what's the time now? Let's all leave the fleet carrier. Right, so fleet carrier is off anyway. Rather than try and coordinate, we've seen the fleet carriers arrive. I don't want to push the fleet carriers too far, so let's not bust the instance entirely. So let's all take off gently, because there's so many of us, and then just travel out in space a little bit and lock onto the target system. Okay, so everybody launch carefully. Mindful that there are a lot of other ships about. Okay, our hyperspace destination is actually over here. So what we normally do is we slowly look at all these ships. This is really cool. So just be careful not to hit anybody. All right. The hyperspace destination is on the starboard bow of the fleet carrier. So Commander C, the ship is going to be jumping there. So basically, the rule is here. Aim for the target destination. There is it. Brambay, NE-E, D13-153. I know it's not a particularly memorable name. Aim towards that. Set your speed, and there's a trick to doing this. Don't put all your pips in engines. Set your speed to 100 meters per second and form up on my ship. Okay, and then we can kind of, there we are. Try and get to 100. I can't quite get to 100 meters per second. There we go, 101. That'll do. Okay. Commander Marok is still struggling to get in as well. Let me try you one more time. Commander Marok, where are you? Where are you? Here we are. There we are. One more time. Good luck. Right. Hopefully, we're now moving slowly away from the fleet carrier. If I just reverse the view here, what we'll have is there's Evelyn's light in the background. Oh, I've still got my undercarriage up. That won't be helping. So 100 meters per second. Okay. Let me just adjust my speed back down. There we go. Ah, look, exactly on 100 meters per second. So yeah, put your undercarriage up. That helps as well. So form up with me. You should be able to keep quite close formation with that. Basically, we don't want to throttle up. So we should be leaving. There, look at that. Look at all the ships. We're leaving the fleet carrier behind us. So if you're in the instance, form up on my wing. Okay. Is my wing beacon on? That's a very good question. I have no idea. Let me go and have a look. Probably not, thinking about it. There we are, my wing beacon is now on. So Marok and Overstiegen, hopefully you're here. So if you're in the instance, you should be able to see all these ships. Form up on my wing. We're travelling forward at 100 meters per second. So once you catch up with us, set your speed to 100 meters per second, and you should be able to rendezvous with us. Okay. So, and what that should look like is a vast number of ships all ready to jump. There's Evelyn's light in the background, actually with some gravitational lensing, which is quite nice. There's the fleet. So if you can close up as much as possible without bashing anybody else's vessel, that would be awesome. A lovely array of colours here. We're travelling along, so we're looking good. We are now ready. Okay, we are now ready. Now, the time according to the game as I'm streaming is 22:05:30. So we will jump at 22:10. Okay, we will jump at 22:10 game time. Now the way this works is you charge your frameshift drive for the hyperspace jump. Okay, you can do that now, but do not throttle up. Okay, do not throttle up. You throttle up at 22:10 exactly. All right. So your frameshift drive will be charged, but do not throttle up until the time. Okay, so get yourself into formation with me. 22:10. When the clock on your HUD in your game gets to 22:10, full throttle, and then the hyperspace jump will be as simultaneous as we can make it. That's the way it works. All right, so everybody clear on that. You can charge your frameshift drive now, but do not throttle up until 2210 on your HUD. That's how this works. All right, so fingers crossed. This is the last mass hyperspace jump of the year, so we're going to make it a good one. Okay, take her on. Still only doing the invite. I'm going to try you one more time, my friend. The instancing here is a thing. There we go. Take her on. Hopefully that gets you in. Give it a whirl. Come on, you can do it. Come on, instancing. So do not throttle up. Okay, do not throttle up. 2210. Okay, that should be about 3 minutes away. So I'm going to cue the music and get us ready to go. And let's begin to move out. We have Evelyn's light in the background and we're ready. Okay, so charge your frameshift drives, but do not throttle up. All right, do not throttle up until 2210. Okay, so the fleet is building. Right, it's time for the music. So let me get this going. And here we go. In fact, the in-game music is a little bit loud at the moment. There we go. Right, so here we go. Here is tonight's theme. Hope you enjoy it. And there they go, my friends, there they go. So off into the distance of space. I'm just going to ease the music down a little bit. I need to make my own hyperspace jump as well, but fantastic. Thank you very much to the fleet carrier Wimbledon Common. Thank you to all of those who joined us here at Evelyn's Light for a jump into space. The music, if you don't know what this is a carol called O Holy Night, and the first line of it is O Holy Night, The Stars Are Brightly Shining, which seemed to be the right tune for the evening. Partly for Evelyn, partly for us, and partly to mark the end of the Elite Dangerous Astro Tour. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you accompany me on this trip through the stars and into the depths of space. I wish all of you a very happy Christmas, happy holidays, whatever you prefer to know it as. It's been an absolute pleasure. Lovely sense of community. Thank you for all coming out into the depths of space with me to mark this little special moment here at Evelyn's Light, and have yourself a wonderful Christmas time. I look forward to seeing you all again in the new year, and whatever you're doing, have a great time, take care of yourselves, look after yourselves, be good, and I will see you in the new year's, Commander. Thank you ever so much for everybody involved. It's really, really appreciated by me, and onwards. Okay, onwards, my friends. 07, and carry on into the darkness. So fly safe, and I will see you in the new year. You guys have an absolutely fantastic time. Speak to you soon. I better do the jump myself, I suppose. The music goes on for quite a long time, actually. I'd forgotten how long the carol was. It was a fun piece of music, this, actually. It's a lovely old tune. Everything I've played up until now has been in 4/4 time, so this is actually in 6/8 time, which is a little bit more old school. But so if you do get a chance to listen to Oh Holy Night as a carol, it's worth hearing it sung live. There's a few versions of it on YouTube. It's a beautiful, sonorous sort of tune, quite deep and thoughtful, so definitely worth a listen. So hopefully you've picked something up from that tonight as well. Anyway, it is time for me to depart, so take care, have a wonderful time, and I will see you out in the black for more adventures in the new year. Back, I think the second week of January it'll be. I'll post up on Facebook and Twitter and then forums and the usual places. So take care of yourselves, have a wonderful time, and I will see you soon. Right on, Commanders.